So introducing Greg Bryan as our moderator. Greg is no stranger to MEF. We've been cooperating with him and tracking his work. They've been tracking us for many, many years. He's manager of enterprise research at Geography. We have Jeremy Villalobos from CEO of GoldConnect, Daniele Mancuso, who needs no introduction here, and Eric Seaman, who is the CTO of Tigo that rejoined MEF a short while ago. So, gentlemen, come on up, grab a seat, and hand it over to Greg.
Thank you, Kevin. Pleasure to be back at MEF. I haven't been to an event since December or October 2019. I let my COVID hair ride, so if you haven't seen me since then, right? Yeah, but it's a real pleasure to be with you guys. You know, just to open things up, I actually used to be the LATAM analyst at TeleGeography, and back in those days, there's 10 years ago or so, we were talking about providers in the region didn't even interconnect with each other there. They interconnected with each other down the street here at NAP of the Americas, right? So to be talking about automation and moving forward on digital transformation is really cool to see. After interested to hear how the region is developing since I last kind of took a really deep dive into it. So with that, let's get started. I'll start right next to me here with Jeremy. But if you guys could just give your a brief introduction for anybody in the room who might not know you, but then also we'll jump right into the topic. So if you could just talk about how your company is working to empower digital transformation in the region. Jeremy.
So I'm Jeremy Villalobos, Chief Operating Officer of MEG. We're known for the LATAM Connect platform. So basically 4 years ago, we embraced on the goal of automating LATAM. We understand how difficult the region is, the challenges that any customer may face when dealing with the region, and we basically set the goal of automating the end-to-end customer experience from feasibility analysis through our own algorithm, the tracking of the installation process, monitoring of each one of their services, and last but not least, the tech support. MEF has been fundamental on this goal, on this projection of changing the way of doing things in LATAM. So I'm really happy to be here. MEF is doing an outstanding job, and we're eager to continue working with them to further help the Latin American region to, adopt the different technologies that Pascal was perfectly explaining, and this is going to be a great panel.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Daniele?
Hi, everybody. Daniele Mancuso, Product Management at Sparkle and MEF Director. So in 2 words, Sparkle is the former international arms of Telecom Italia Group. We run a network of around 600,000 kilometers of fiber optic spreads all around the world, including LATAM. Our IP transit layer backbone is ranked at the moment number 5 globally by CAIDA, and I would say that we are one of the main players in this specific sector into LATAM. And it's interesting to go back to what Jeremy was saying, because we are seeing a great growth in terms of connectivity demand coming from the region. Just to give you an example, I asked my product manager to do a analysis of the last 2 years, and from October 2020 up to October 2022, so already after COVID struck, our in and out traffic in the region in terms of IP layer was growing 77%. So that means that there are ISPs, operators, enterprises, actors like Jeremy, like GoldConnect, that are pushing towards and are surfing the waves of the digital transformation. Everything is starting, of course, from the needs of the consumer, but I think we will touch later over there. But definitely LATAM is in the perfect storm situation in order to grab all the great job that is being done in this consensus.
Great, lots of opportunity. Eric?
My name is Eric Seaman. I'm the regional CTO for the international business in Tigo. Hearing the people that has been on the stage, talking about history, you are reminded very well on how the market in Latin America has developed. And we've been there. We as Tigo has been evolving, trying to remain relevant to our different markets. We operate in 9 countries in Latin America. And basically, we've been investing heavily, in an important way at least, on products of the digital era like cloud, SD-WAN, security, and we have embraced automation since some time ago because mainly the need of the market requires that we keep the pace in the industry. So I'm very, very happy to be here talking about standardization and around automation.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. That it's the market driving this, what the customers need. So to really sort of kick off the topic directly, I wonder if each of you could say just how you characterize the state of digital transformation in the region, particularly compared to what you might see in other regions. We'll just go ahead and start with you again,
Sure.
Jeremy.
So the Latin American players have been doing a great job in terms of digital transformation, in terms of solutions, in data center solutions, cloud computing. You see a lot of the hyperscalers with base in Chile, Brazil. But then, you have the other half of the pie where you have to digitally transform your own business, streamline your business processes. That's where the different APIs and all the standardization that MEF is doing, fits perfectly to improve the Latin American region. LATAM is very difficult. You got different countries, a lot of countries, different regulations, different politics, different exchange. Inflation is off the roof, in many of them. So when you are trying to operate in the whole region, you have this when it comes to interacting between operations. So I believe the digital transformation of your own company is the biggest challenge in the region. We as GoldConnect, we embraced that goal or objective 4 years ago. It's not easy, but you can start. Once you start walking that path. You just open up. You start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's doable. It's definitely doable. I believe there is promising time for the Latin American region. Because there is there are plenty of learning curve from other regions or from around the world. So MEF plays an incredible role to help the Latin American region. I personally raise the personal goal to help the region. Bring more players. Happy to see more Latin American carriers. In this members meeting because we need to get involved. We start with a dream. Then we make that dream a plan, and then we put goals on that plan. But there is a starting point, and the fact that we see more Latin American players coming to the members meeting is a great starting point, because these meetings are not just technical talk. There are plenty of business talk that are done within the meeting, and it definitely makes a huge impact. And MEF is that bridge, to that digital transformation that may seem complicated, but it's completely doable, and it's exciting times ahead of LATAM.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniele?
So we talked about perfect storm before. Let's see where it's raining and where it's shining. Let's start from subsea cables, okay? We all know that practically 100% of the internet, as we know it today, runs over subsea cables. And you taught us,
absolutely,
as TeleGeography,
love it when you bring that up. Absolutely,
that there was an event in 2010 whereby one of the hyperscalers decided that it was more cost-effective.
Santiago, I know what you're going to say.
To build subsea cables rather from buying capacity for subjects like that. So from that moment, there was let's say, a project of circumnavigating Earth in an east-west deployment of cables, whereby the hyperscalers started to deploy these assets in order to interconnect their main data centers in North America, Europe, and to some extent Asia. This was, let's say, the first decade, I would say, but from 2017 onward, we started to see a north to south movement. And if we see now the American continent, we see several subsea cables, most of them deployed or at least designed by hyperscalers, that connects North America to South America directly. And there is the rise of hyper data centers even in South America. Examples are the Monet cable that is being deployed on the Atlantic coast. It started with the Zebras, it proceeded with Curie. And, you know, favorable regulations, environment set up, favorable economy. All this was changing already the equilibrium, the balance of the interconnection. And you know, when balance changed there, new ecosystems are starting, new interconnection points. So it's not for granted that people need now to come to the room next to interconnect in Miami, but a lot of local traffic, local content is being established in Latin America. Once hyperscalers are coming with their content, it means that numbers exposed in geographical chart by TeleGeography of data reportal of number of people that are not yet having access to broadband are becoming eyeballs. So once you have eyeballs, once you have internet connections, once you have the hyperscalers that is delivering you the content, then you have that process called consumerization. It means that whatever experience a consumer is getting by consuming a content on his smartphone is being transferred first to the enterprise layer, SME, big enterprises, and then in turn to wholesalers. So at the end of the day, everybody today in this room is selling experience that to some extent is being consumed by a smartphone or by a CPE in a customer premise. And once you have the consumer that is getting used to have those services in a matter of a slap, you cannot anymore go on with emails exchanging between Jeremy and myself, asking if I have 100 gig available, asking if I can interconnect a customer premise in Europe because he has a back-to-back here in Latin America. So digital transformation is happening because of those reasons. Those are the fundamental reasons. And the perfect storm is happening now. So there is a great opportunity for enterprises and service providers residing in the area to use MEF as a lighthouse and implement quickly all those predicaments that Pascal was telling us before, in a nutshell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me say.
And Eric?
Talking about the perfect storm, we as a wholesalers are in the middle of the first world expecting world-class services and infrastructure and political limitations that not necessarily are the best scenario to comply with them. So as wholesalers, we've been striving to keep the pace of the industry towards the first world, towards the US, Europe, and on all the wholesalers that buy our services to terminate services in Latin America, and striving to build networks that have the quality and the availability and the capacity to serve those requirements. So the way I see it, I see a lot of space, a lot of opportunity in Latin America just because of that, because the need is there. We were mentioning before, the growth is there, and this is the opportunity, this is the moment, I believe, to embrace automation in order to keep the pace of both worlds growing in different areas of the world. So an interesting scenario indeed.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to pause right here. As much as I love the sound of my own voice, are there any questions arising from the audience? This is going to be only a 30-minute panel, so if you have a question stewing, I'll ask one more and then sort of be ready to go if you have a question. But So a lot of MEF service providers that are active in the region are adopting LSO Sonata APIs to automate business functions between service providers, what we're here for, right? And in particular, this seems to be a good opportunity for Mexico to kind of emerge as a regional leader in the shift to automation. How would you all characterize the levels of automation today, and what potential do you see for Mexico or the LATAM region in general? Jeremy?
I mean, MEF has been doing a great job with Mexico. Obviously, you can tell that they were focusing on Mexico first, and the reaction was very positive. The objective is to bring that wave all the way down to South America. Mm-hmm. Automation is about data. It's about reliable data. It's about managing good data for other service providers. Mexico, obviously, along with Brazil, are the main markets in Latin America. So, of course, starting with Mexico is a positive thing, because you can get some success use case, mm-hmm. of the benefits of the LSO Sonata APIs, which at the end of the day is a good starting point for the service providers in Mexico, providing reliable data. At the end of the day, it's about that. For example, in GoldConnect, we support clients all around Latin America, and we work with the challenge that fortunately 98% are not embracing API or automation. So how do you find reliable data when you have to support other service providers around the world, and also you want to streamline your business processes so you can give a better experience? For example, in Latin America, the old process used to be a salesperson talks to the engineer does the feasibility analysis, the engineer goes back to a pricing specialist that then sells to the sales price, and that sales price, the sales guy send the proposal to the client a month and a half later. So that doesn't work.
That's not unique to Latin America, by the way. But it's definitely a point thing. Yeah.
So imagine when you have to support a customer with 150 sites in different countries with different services, different technical requirements, that's a nightmare, So when you have reliable data and proper established APIs, that are standardized by MEF, because at the end of the day, you don't want to have multiple APIs. If you follow the standard, it's much easier to implement. And then you can share reliable data with those service providers from LATAM, and you can basically turn around that very bureaucratic process, into a second reply. If you are able to automate all that process, that's about streamlining a business process. When you take that 1 month process and you convert it in a 2-minute process, that's the benefit of automation and API. And that's just one process out of hundreds that you can embrace in your own company. So in GoldConnect, we not only resolve that aspect by automating 157 carriers in Latin America. But when we bring on board a new carrier, it's not about just adding a price list into the system. It's about taking KMC files. It's about taking building lists. It's about taking as much information about where this carrier is actually on net in the region. And then we let the automation work and perform the feasibility analysis for the global carriers. But at the end of the day, it's not about us automating someone's network. At the end of the day, it's about all those 157 having their own APIs, having their own automation. It's about creating an ecosystem where we all coexist with each other, because at the end of the day, I may have 157 today, but I have to refresh that data 6 months from now. So that's not sustainable in time. I have to, that's why we're pushing to bring more LATAM players into MEF so they can embrace this wave. Have your own API, have your own automation, bring your business into another level so you can be fully efficient. You have to be efficient, at the end of the day. And it's not about removing the human interaction. It's about making the human interaction extremely efficient, Instead of, going back and forth for something that it doesn't need to go that long, you can concentrate on complex projects, You still are going to talk to your clients about, those complex projects that you need the human attention, but there is a whole transactional volume that can be done by automation. Mm-hmm. So sorry that I took longer, but
no, that's all right.
It's an exciting topic.
Lots of great points there. I really like bringing up, bringing on the KMZ files and understanding what's really on net. so paramount for anybody selling or buying multinational networks, especially in the region where there's physical geography challenges to get through and whatnot. And Daniele, anything to add there?
Well, focusing on the second part of Jeremy's speech, I would simply say that traditional growth is not sustainable without automation.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot keep on growing, for example, 77% in 2 years without adding a massive amount of sales manager, of technical employees. But again, you need to deploy human forces in mission-critical activities, in activities that are generating secure revenue with secure marginality, which is the great sickness of the telcos, marginality. We are not able to monetize. So automation is needed in order to simplify internal processes within each service provider, but above all, to simplify business interaction among service providers. So whenever we talk about automation, we need to consider the end-to-end automation. And, you know, in my opinion, I am very much opinionated. So not
that's what makes a fun
not
panel.
Everybody can agree with me, but I used to say that automation is a black and white story. Either you embrace it or not. But in the how you decide to embrace is a 50 shades of gray story. You don't need to take it all at once because you will most probably fail fast. You can decide what are the topics, the parts of the process which are more addressable for your specific company. Start from there, get an ecosystem of interconnected players that are embracing the same path as you, and create this small, let's say, pitch where you have a network and a solid relationship with partners that is moving in this way. And then you can scale when, how, and where you want.
And you'll be successful because you've lowered transaction costs and overhead and so, right? You know,
At the end of the day, you know, we move in a market where is a tremendous demand, but if you don't manage to keep at least parallel the two lines between price decline and cost decline, you fail.
That is the key. Yeah, absolutely.
Unit CAPEX, unit OPEX, unit revenue.
Eric, anything to add on that?
Well, I would, listening to you, add the challenge of knowledge. It's hard to have in-house knowledge of this kind. Reality is, and talent is not built quickly. It takes time. It's hard to find, and I would add it at the formula that you guys were talking about. And another thing that I would add is if we're talking about automation end to end, we need to really understand the life cycles of the platforms. Again, we still keep legacy. There's a myriad of manufacturers and buy-ins of companies that come with platforms already there. So putting together knowledge and life cycle management would add up to the formula of being successful with automation.
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions from the audience before we start to wrap things up? Anything on anyone's mind? Don't be shy. We have a mic back here if anybody does have anything.
Nice.
Yeah,
Don't be shy.
Especially about the sort of focus on the region here. All right. Well, if you're not thinking of anything now, we only have a few minutes left. But I want to get to a couple questions if we can, and if there's no audience, because I really wanted to hit this question. So what role do you see for automation when dealing with enterprise customers specifically? So we've been talking mostly about carrier interactions, but what about directly to the enterprise, Jeremy?
I think the enterprise is playing a key role because they are the one raising the bar for the service providers. Because they are the one coming back to the service provider, and I want to see how my services are performing in real time. My network is critical. I cannot rely just on you telling me what is happening 4 hours later. I wanna be able to open and see how they are performing in real time. I mean, there are multiple things that they're pushing, but they're definitely putting pressure on the service providers, and they are definitely playing a key role. There are multiple sectors, multiple verticals asking for their own needs.
Right.
The financial markets are asking for real-time monitoring. You got the manufacturing where they have different needs, but it is important to listen and to embrace, what the customers are asking for, because if you don't listen to the client, someone else will listen for you.
That is the key. Right?
So enterprise, and also we have global multinationals with presence in Latin America. So they're bringing their own experience from other regions into LATAM, and they're saying, why am I having this in Europe and the US,
right.
but LATAM is like a private island where I don't see the same. So I think the enterprise is definitely important in terms of making this transformation happen quicker, and it's important to keep that in mind. Otherwise, it's just lagging behind, and someone else will take your place.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's very, very much. I remember many years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, sitting down with Pascal and him saying they really want to bring enterprise perspective into MEF for this very reason. That's driving the reason that we do all of these things. And so to see how that plays out for, like you said, MNCs who have been doing certain processes in other regions, that they're going to come to expect to want to do it in this region as well. Anything to add to that, Daniel?
I agree with this point of view. It's true. Basically, we were focusing on automation between ourselves. And I think everybody in the room has, like Sparkle, has active production projects with several carriers for the interoperability and business automation about carrier Ethernet services. So this is what we have been focusing on so far. I would like to offer another perspective, and maybe Mexico could be resonating. Mexico is having a stable economy. Mexico is a country where human capital is one of the main pillars of the economy deployment. And we go back to the topic of culture. Education is absolutely a stepping point for digital transformation. So for all these reasons, Mexico, I would say, is already embracing digital transformation of enterprises, and it's ready for the Industry 4.0 revolution. All this will put under pressure the enterprise system, because it's not for granted that the local enterprises there are relying on other headquarters external to Mexico or external to LATAM, where these processes were already starting. So from this perspective, what we are deploying now in MEF, the Secure Network as a Service project, could be one of the drivers to accelerate the embracement of the digital transformation for those local enterprises. Where there is no experience, where there is no brownfield, but where you are starting from scratch.
Easier to start over, yeah.
A project like this, whereby there will be a collection of service providers bundling products that are already MEF certified and available at the push of a button or the implementation of an API, will be critical for this kind of companies. So,
excellent. All right, so we're out of time, but I do want to, if you can keep this really short, we'll start down with you, Eric. Just what's your call to action for the region in digital transformation?
Well, I think that we should definitely embrace automation, standardization. That's to me, is the only way. As the products like SD-WAN and cloud become more complex, automation is more needed, reality, to be successful in the mission that we have as a company. So that would be my call, to really embrace and follow the path of
Daniele?
Well, I can simply say, let's get together.
Yeah, that's the key.
If there are service providers, local providers willing to start the path, they can come and talk to Sparkle. We can give, let's say, hints about what to do and what not to do in order to interconnect with people like us, because we were already passing this experience. Mm-hmm. So we can give the shortcuts, we can, let's say, educate on which tools to use. We can also provide a perspective that is not common about traditional wholesalers like us that embrace from a couple of years an enterprise turn, and we already deployed several SD-WAN projects around the world. We started today the MEF certification process. So we are available to discuss, get together, and help the transition.
Jeremy?
My call to action is get involved with MEF. You know, MEF is a perfect bridge, right, you know, to the final goal, which is digital transformation. You know, these MEF meetings are amazing. You get to interact with other service providers, align objectives. You know, we're doing a lot of things with Sparkle, blockchain, smart contract, you know, many things that are not possible right now. We're already thinking 3 years ahead of time, you know, and there is a lot of conversation that you can open up in here, you know, that may transform your business. You don't have to transform 100% your business, you know, but there is a good starting point by joining MEF, you know, see all the different groups, working groups. There is a lot of incubation groups. There is plenty of things happening at MEF, you know, that can definitely help you and enable you and guide you to the right direction along with the right partners, you know.
Right.
You're not alone.
Yeah. Exactly. And at the end of the day, you care about each other's, you know, close community, you know, very good friendships.
Just buy me beers every year.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
It's very nice.
So bring that message home.
There you go.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.